You had to leave, or did you want to leave?
So obviously we've been monitoring the situation from the beginning, and the climate was such that we were like, okay, Jordan wasn't bad. You know what I mean? We had air raids, we had all clears, we had F-16s going over the house, but we kept monitoring the situation. When I had gotten notice that our flight started to change, and when I was rebooked on British Airways for Saturday, and then British Airways canceled that flight and moved me to Sunday, going from Amman to London, London to Zurich, Zurich to Newark. I then called United, and they're like, well, not really sure. Then I talked to my sister-in-law, who's the head of human resources at Zane, and she's like, there are no other carriers coming in. So there's no American carriers coming into Jordan. No British Airways, no United, no Delta, no Americans. They're not coming. They're afraid to come. They're afraid that they're going to get stuck. It's money over people at that point. So then we booked on RJ and canceled our flight. And my husband, I just spoke to him because he's still there, and said that they will refund us an appropriate amount. Am I going to get my $6,000 back? I'm not sure.
Probably worth noting that we were told, or we heard reports like the State Department wasn't really helping anybody out as far as getting us out of here. We were told that basically if you call the State Department number, they're telling you to just book a commercial flight. So that's when we kind of said sooner's better than later, and that's when we kind of just made decisions to leave as soon as we possibly could.
Right. That was not our plan. We really wanted to stay.
Were you frustrated by the lack of information?
100% frustrated by the lack of information, by the fact that why is United, British Airways, whoever they are, booking us on flights when they don't even have a plane in the country? That doesn't make sense to me. You know what I mean? When I got the rebooking for Sunday, my husband said, you know what, let's just call United, because everything was done through United. That was my original booking. Thankfully, because he's a more nervous person than I am, like in terms of like a diligent, I'll put that way, he's more diligent than I am, that, you know, he was like, call. And they said, no, that flight's not confirmed. And that's when we just said, you know what, this is now, I could be into next week. We both have jobs to get back to.
Did you call the embassy at all? Did you?
No.
We didn't. We heard reports from people that we knew that the State Department numbers wasn't helping at all, so we didn't really even try to bother that way. And then we just decided to make
But also, midweek this week in Jordan, the embassy was closed. All access to the embassy was closed. We couldn't go there if we wanted to. The roadway to the embassy was closed. And they were told, like all the reports that we kept getting was, all non-emergency personnel from the embassy was leaving. I don't know how they got out, but there was no access to the U.S. embassy, as far as I could tell, from once they shut it down. So that's where we were at.
And you felt
more
safe.
Opinions. I got so many opinions I can't even tell you, but whatever.
Do you feel? Obviously, I think you're most frustrated at United. If I could read you well.
No, not at United. I have to be honest with you. United, you could not ask for better customer care. Let's be honest. They did everything for us. They tried every flip side scenario. These call centers are exactly that. It's call centers. So you're allowing your customer care people to book flights that relatively are not in existence. There is no British Airways flight coming in. Cairo, like I said, I didn't want to necessarily go through Egypt because the layover, one of the layovers was 19 hours, the other layover was 6:45. I'm like, all right, I'll take a 6-hour layover in Egypt. I'm going to get stuck. I mean, I speak Arabic, it's fine, but I'd rather get stuck in London. You know, I'm going to be bougie, like that's my choice. But I took the 6-hour 45 layover in Cairo. Egypt Air going from Amman to Cairo to Frankfurt, and then Lufthansa from Frankfurt to London. Still having to sleep over, that's another out of pocket, because then I have a United flight from London to BWR. So again, I'm not going to say that United was not helpful, because that's not fair, to be honest. What I think is crazy is what information you're getting. Oh, everybody get out on a commercial carrier. Now change that to RJ is the only commercial carrier, so call RJ. Abandon your existing flight arrangements. I was trusting that the revised flight arrangements we kept getting, because our original one was, when we were leaving on Saturday, he and I, it was Amman to Dubai, Dubai to Newark. As soon as Dubai got bombed, I moved that. I'm smart. I'm not going to wait. Didn't even want to go through Dubai now because that's obviously where things are boiling. So we had rearranged all of that. Then, like I said, the State Department should not be telling you to take a commercial carrier when there is no commercial carrier. There is the state-owned Royal Jordanian, excellent airlines. That's how we did it. And we were in the back of the bus. You know, I paid for first class tickets on United, and I paid $6,000 in the back of the bus. It's a necessity. But what if people don't have that? Think about it. Like, if you don't have that, if you don't even have a credit card that can charge that, you know what I mean? So I don't know. Like I said, we were not there for vacation. We were there because my mother-in-law had passed, and I was there for different reasons. But we decided to bail.
Right. At any point, did you feel like unsafe?
No. I mean, I'm not. There were
Day one.
Yeah.
Day one, because as Westerners came over, I've never heard an air raid siren before in my life. That was a new experience. I think day 2 or day 3, we heard F-15s going over the house. We knew we weren't in immediate danger, but it definitely was very gnarly to kind of know what was going on all around us and kind of, again, I mean, we didn't know what was in the scope. We're near a U.S. base. We're generally close to the embassy, so
We are.
There
We're
was
like
that
15
looming
minutes
feeling in the back of our heads, but it wasn't like we were in a war zone by any means. So it wasn't.
But it was daunting, absolutely not something. Watching every day, trying. No one else was hitting the panic button. You know, we were out smoking hookah at 1 o'clock in the morning the other night, like at a cafe. No one seems to be upset. But they also are, unfortunately, more used to this. You know what I mean? So, and I'm going to put it on record, because of the unpredictability of this president, that was my most nervous part of this whole trip. Not what was happening in Jordan. Jordan was doing its absolute best. But did I know what the president was going to decide to do on a whim that was going to further affect the region? No, I still don't have that confidence, right? He has no game plan, no beginning plan, no end plan, no middle plan. We know the plan. The plan is this is all for Israel, and that's, I don't care. That's my opinion. That's what we've done. And so now we are living, in all honesty, he has put every American, actually individual in the world on a precarious perch because they've just decided on a whim that Iran was the enemy. Iran's always been the enemy, but not what he's telling the American people. And they're not going to get regime change. They're not going to get this shining new whatever. Okay, they're going to get worse and actually more egregious than what it was.
Can I get your name?
Maureen.
Can you spell Maureen for me?
Maureen.
Maureen, what's your last name?
Picky. No, go with Eladawi. Eladawy.
Your name, man?
Niall, Niall, same last name, Eladawy.
And do you guys live in New York?
New Jersey.
New Jersey? Okay. Well, you're a great soundbite, so that's good.
What is this? Who is this for?
Associated Press, New York Times.
The last thing, 2 things I wanted to ask.
Yes.
It's like with everything you've mentioned so far, are you worried about what do you think right now about your husband, that he's still stuck?
I'm concerned. For
Right.
my husband, he's decided, again, his mom has passed away, and so he wants to stay for the end of Ramadan, which is the Eid, and then Mother's Day is March 21st. So it would be the first Mother's Day and the first Eid without her. So we've encouraged him to stay from a loving standpoint of support. But as he said to me this morning when we left, I will reassess as we go, and if I have to jump, I'll jump, onto an RJ flight as well. We do, again, because the situation is so unpredictable that we don't know what button, Trump's just going to decide to push next. He's more aggressive and egregious than the first couple of days, so we just don't know where it's going to go. And I don't believe that Iran is targeting Jordan, but they are targeting American bases. They are targeting American embassies. So those 2 things exist in Jordan.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and then take me to the moment that you found out that. How did you find out that
my flight was canceled?
No, that the attack, that
I woke
the
up
bombs.
in the morning. I followed the Guardian, and I woke up in the morning. We got there on Thursday night, and I think it was Saturday. I can't remember the day, but let's put it this way: I woke up, picked up my phone, and the breaking news from the Guardian was that we have launched, U.S. and Israel combined have launched an attack against Iran. And from that point was obviously concerned, right? I mean, the texts from people I haven't heard from in forever have been all the way through. Right now, sitting on the plane, just replying to everybody that we landed, And again, we've kept a close eye on it. it's daunting when an F-15 goes over the house. The all clear sign you wait for, you hold your breath for. 'Cause again, it's reality. No one's exempt from this. This is what I'm trying to say. Like, you can't white coat it. You can't make like it's only affecting certain parts. Not when we have a president that's making such egregiously indiscriminate decisions based on a whim. That's how I feel. This is all for the support of Netanyahu. I'm not even going to say for Israel. It's all for. There's a bigger plan, and that's what it's going
I think
for.
another thing that's important to know too is the fact that we're Jordanian, and thank God that we live in Jordan. But had we been Lebanese, it's a very different story trying to get out of that country right now compared to what it is in Jordan. I can't imagine what American and Lebanon is facing right now trying to get out of that country. So
Or
again,
Dubai, or Bahrain,
I would
or
say
Qatar.
that our experience coming out of Jordan is probably the best case scenario if you're going to end up in the Middle East as of right now, because a lot of the other countries it is virtually impossible to get out because they are actual war zones with actual threats going on.
Correct.
We're seeing missiles going over our country. They're receiving them, which is a very different thing. So,
Like I said, our original plan was Dubai, right? So we were supposed to go Amman to Dubai. We're going to take a 14-hour flight home. It's going to be great. And that got abandoned when the airport got bombed. And then, we just changed it all together because, again, the expectation when they did this in June, it lasted 12 days, right? And so we thought this one would just last a couple of days, that cooler heads would prevail. But they're not prevailing. So we just had to cut our trip short and come home at the most abundance of caution. That's kind of where it was.
Okay. Well, thank you so much for
you're
taking the
welcome.
time.
The experience was like.
It was okay. I was studying in Amman for a semester, and the U.S. they said we needed to leave, but they didn't provide us with any help getting out. So we all had to pay for our flights completely out of pocket. That's.
So you weren't planning to come home today?
I was not planning to come home today. No, I was planning to come home the last day of April, but we were forced to leave. So. Yeah.
Was it scary? Did you?
In Amman, honestly, no. We were seeing missiles in the sky that were clearly going to Israel. At first, it was a little scary hearing the sirens and stuff, but after seeing sort of the calm of the Jordanians, my teachers and the people I knew there, I really, honestly, we weren't scared, and I think it kind of came to a shock to all of us that we had to leave. Obviously, when Jordan was being targeted, that's sort of a new thing. That's not the norm for Jordan and the Gulf states as well. So definitely, that was scary. But I still feel like I felt very safe in Oman. So
Were you at all frustrated that?
yes,
That
incredibly frustrated. I'm incredibly sad. Incredibly.
with the State Department with
With everything. With Israel, America. They started this war and now we have to leave. So, yeah.
Can I get your name?
Lily.
Lily. And Lily, what's your last name?
Stroud. Stroud.
Lily Stroud. And where were you studying?
It was called CET Jordan. It's a program for American college students studying abroad.
And you live in New York, or you're off to somewhere
I live
else?
in New York. I go to school in Massachusetts.
Well, thank you so much. I appreciate you
So
talking
the
to
only
us.
question I had was,
How you doing? You for her?
the moment that everything kicked off, how did you find out that we were basically
The
at
news,
war?
I think I woke up Sunday morning and I got a news alert from Al Jazeera saying Israel and the U.S. had fired a joint attack on Iran. I mean, that's how I found out. But everything, that's how I found out. That things had started.
Right. And so at that point, you were just ready to leave.
No,
Or-
not at all. We were only ready to leave on Tuesday when our program told us we needed to leave.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got it. Well, thank you so much. I don't want to hold you up. All right?
Wrong time, or was it kind of surprise to you when it all went down?
I knew about the negotiations, and from what I was aware, that there was going to be another wave of negotiations that following week. So it lined up with the trip that we were taking that I thought that we would potentially be out before those negotiations. If they went sour, we'd be gone already. The preemptive strike kind of threw a wrench into that, and so we woke up to, I think it was like 7:30 for sirens went off.
And just tell me, give the State Department a grade.
D. Maybe, at least they sent something out, but everything was like too little too late.
Can I get your name in?
Trenton.
Can you spell it for me?
Trenten.
Trenton, what's your last name?
Higgins.
Higgins?
Yep.
Where are you from?
I just moved to San Jose. We were there on a work trip.
Okay, all right. Well, I'm glad you guys made it back.
Me too.
And hopefully you got at least some fish in Haifa or something. But cheers.
Food was good. Thank you.
I'm so sorry to hold you up, but I just stepped in late. Can I ask you about what your experience was? So, can you tell me from the top, like how did you find out that that we had launched an attack on Iran?
You find out by the sirens happening. So from what they told me, the Israelis, is that there's that first alarm that was at 7:30. Luckily, I had already had a feeling to get out. So the night before, I almost just left, and I left my laptop in the office there. So I thought, okay, I'll just push it off till tomorrow. I'll get my laptop. So I was already pre-packed, ready to go the next day. Woke up at 7:30. That first alarm went off. I guess the first siren is just saying that they're at war. They're about to start a conflict. So that's how you find out. Then about, 10, 20 later, then the first actual wave comes. And that first day was pretty terrible. That was like maybe the longest periods are like 3 hours maybe of peace, and then otherwise it was just like rolling strikes, just one after another after another. At a certain point, I even came out of a shelter, went to use the bathroom, and as soon as I buttoned my pants, another one went off. So it was like that back to back. That was day one. Last few days not so bad. There's bigger lulls. It's usually like one at night, one in the morning, one midday.
Right. And so this is you're explaining you're hearing the sirens, or you're explaining you're hearing the missiles flying over?
Sirens. You hear the sirens first. The sirens are pretty good.
Okay.
The sirens, there's a big infrastructure for notifying people when something's about to come in. Mm-hmm. You have to get all the apps and stuff. Like she didn't know about the apps yet, so we had to set her up with the apps after the fact, which is kind of stressful. But there is like a big infrastructure for letting you know when a missile's coming in, and then when they're nearing your local vicinity, they have these little sections that'll alert you specifically when something is getting there, and then you usually hear like a poof of an interception about.
Right. And did any of these missiles, or the debris of aftermath? Debris of like interceptions. Did any of those land near you?
Not us. No. We were in the northern part, and there was one debris that fell and started a fire somewhere, but. I kept looking out of my hotel window, and everything looked fine.
We never saw it.
Yeah, everything looked fine. So.
Okay.
And anyway, the interception process is
Yeah, the interception is great. Yeah.
Okay. And you ever find yourself in this situation before? Or?
No. Hopefully never again.
I hear you. And just to be clear, you were in Jordan, or
I was in Israel.
Okay.
For 3 days, 4?
No. We were in Israel for at least 7-8 days.
Well, yeah, total, yes, yeah. But when the war started, 4 days then? 4 days. We just went to Jordan. It's hard to say now because of the time difference. But we were only in Jordan for a night, essentially, just to get onto the flights because they're the only ones doing flights.
Oh, okay. So you had to leave out of Israel to go into Jordan.
We were at the north of Israel, so our option was to go to Jordan, which is an hour drive, or if we wanted to go to Egypt, that was going to be like a 4-hour drive down the whole length of Israel. So we decided Jordan.
Okay.
Yeah, because all the airports were closed.
Right.
That was the only option at that time.
Yeah, it was basically our only option. Even that was a gamble to get there, really. But it's just like either stay there longer and keep going through it, or take a gamble on an hour-long trip, and then hopefully in Jordan it wouldn't be so bad, which is what we experienced. It wasn't quite so bad.
Okay. And do you mind if I ask you a question or two? Just like since this is like your first time in this type of scenario, it's like what was going through your mind? Like what did you feel?
I don't know, like, if I should comment on all this or not, so like, I'll just not comment anything. But yeah, I would just say, like, obviously it was not a good experience, like, being stuck in the war. Yeah, because we went on a work trip, but we were not, I don't think we imagined, like, we'll be in between this situation, but yeah.
Okay. It's just like very surreal. It's like just
Yeah, it felt like it
Yeah, they were like,
real at the time.
yeah, the one good thing about, like, if you're in that situation, like, you always have alerts, all the alerts, like if there's missile or anything, you always run towards a shelter room. You have enough time to go there, make yourself safe, and yeah, that's pretty much, I think. And as far we know, like, we didn't hear anything like in Haifa, right?
Nothing hit.
Like, yeah, nothing, yeah, because yeah, I think most of the missiles were intercepted, so yeah, their defense system is like really, really good. So.
okay. All right. And God, there's one last question. It's like fleeting my mind. Yeah, I guess that's it.
All right.
Is there anything else you like to add, or?
No, I think that's it. It's scary.
Oh, I'm sorry. Do you want to give your name?
You can go by anonymous.
Yeah.
I'll just
Yeah.
go
Okay. No name. Gotcha.
All right, thank you.
We're